Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another video. My name is Jeremy, Soundhouse Records. Well, today I want to do a breakdown of one of the hit songs from 2021, a Ugandan dancehall song by Azawi, I believe it's called This Year. Well, this song caught my attention early last year when I arrived back in Uganda, and it was playing everywhere on the radio, certainly, and no one. Okay, some people knew her, but the magic is the music, and I wanted to dissect and observe what goes on, what went on behind the scenes when the song was in the making. Right, I will switch to my software. Here we are inside of live, and without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's jump straight in and see what made this song up. Alright, so I began by analyzing the song structure. By the way, I'm not going to be playing this song here. If you want to listen to the original, please check out Azawi, on YouTube or whatever streaming media you might have. Alright, with that out of the way, first I broke it down according to what I hear, and by the looks of it, it has an intro followed by a verse, a pre-chorus, and a chorus, and from there on, it is a repetition. Verse 2 pre-chorus, chorus, verse 3 pre-chorus, and a chorus, or two choruses in this case. After listening a while to it, it had several major elements which I went on to create, starting with I call them plugs, but really I don't think they're plugs at all. For me, they're just guitar samples I've manipulated a bit, and this is how they sound. And this is the intro riff to the song. But this is, to make this, I got a guitar sample, cut off a bit of the tail, gave it a little bit of release and decay, and what I made sure of is to go into the filter, and this should be trimmed a bit, and to cut off some of the high end. I didn't do much with this envelope in here. I've already set the sustain to max and added on the cabinet, an amp, a pedal to distort the sound a bit. This is an EQ, taking off the extra low end and put a ton of reverb rather on it, but I EQ'd the reverb, cut off the highs, and I used 38 milliseconds for pre-delay, and this is on each, actually not on each, yes, it is on each track, but on the second one, I had to tune the sample a bit, because this is a different sample. I had to go in and tune it, actually not, sorry. All I did with this second sample is I operated this in a one-shot mode and gave it, what do you call it, to randomize the velocity of the MIDI. I put on this velocity kind of VST that comes with Ableton, instead of all that velocity being constant, this will make it a little bit random and vary. And the lowest value will be 32, highest value, that's just the range. Low EQ, low cut, and the third one quite the same. I don't know why this tuner you see, but you can see I relied mostly on the cabinet, the amp, and I didn't distort this one to get the collective sound. Straight on to the ambient like sounds. These were a bit tricky because they're just only two notes playing, but in the original song you hear a vocal-like element like as and certain vocal samples that were used that I couldn't get my hands on. However, I managed to get it as close as I can. I'm using the voice samples, not choir but voice samples, and I used a little bit of automation on this one here. If I just show you, it rises its frequency in here. If I turn on here and you observe the frequency, the filter is going to open up as the intro starts. If you can see that. And on top of that, I created a source sound with serum. This is serum. These are two saws going through a filter. And I put some effects, a bit of compression and reverb, and when I combine it into this, it's and that's the ambient parts. After getting those out of the way, I want to go ahead and show you the horns, which I think are very important in this track, and I think in my view, it's the horns that made this song pop and come to life. Horns, they don't come on until later on in the song. But anyway, that was the intro, and let's just play through once to see how everything sounds other than turning on one by one. Okay, so that's the song, basically the main the main part. But as it played, I realized the horn are a bit not as sexy as I intended them, so let's put some stock reverb on here and see. I've already sent them to a reverb, two reverb buses, but I'm not convinced yet. Let's just play in from here. They are not in our face as they were. If I take off this river, you will not. See, they are a bit aggressive that way. They are in your face like the trumpets want to blow off your nose. But if I put a bit of a rhythm, fast forward into this birthday. Yes, they sound more together now. The other thing I wanted to point out that makes really this song interesting is the Conga pattern that underlies the main drum groove. If I just solo those, it just fills in the gap and it just wants you to make you move. So anyway, I grouped both of those sounds, the main drum and the conga beat, and put a drum bass on it. And without the drum bass, it was quite weak. And when I put on the drum bass, it suddenly comes to life. The other special thing about this song are these little impacts. For example, coming into the chorus from the verse, there is this very important impact they used that I hear on the radio. That symbol that splashes, and this one. Speaking of which, I want it to have a bit of a tail and ring in the river. And just send it to that bass. Let's see how that. Yes, it's just perfect. I had reduced it a bit, but let's take it up a notch and see. And also the fades are now working against me. So anyway, when you're making a dancehall song, well, it's important to study these kind of songs that took the airwaves, and they dominated airplay. And for me, doing this gave me insight into, how easily and one can become a star. This song currently I'm running 22 tracks and mostly using samples, minimal sound design. Yes, I'm doing sound design to one extent, but I'm not doing anything fancy with the bass or the synths like in other genres of music that I like to experiment with. Rather, I'm relying on samples and samplers to make sounds, and the major element to take away from this breakdown is the rhythm, the way the bass fills in the gaps left by the drums and the way the drums work with the bass. I can hear it even if you can hear it right away in a club setting, and people are dancing to this right off the bat. right here I notice something. The basses are clashing. And it sounds like it's either too low or the sample is troubling. Actually, the second bass I made with a Wavetable, and inside my Wavetable I can show you briefly. I'm relying on LFO that is probably causing this. If I turn off this LFO from controlling anything, this is LFO2, LFO1 is controlling oscillator position. So if we just take this off, it's not the problem. It's we hear the bass becomes muddy and bit too low. That is what we want to rectify, and I want to point your attention to the subsection here and look at the tone, and it's super low because I'm making a bass. I want it to be savvy, I want it to be boomy and beefy. I put it okay. So to rectify this, I will do one of two things. I will change either the octave of this note, which doesn't actually have a problem, and now I go to my second solution. I put a utility on this bass. But it's not a problem of increasing the bass. I want you to look at LFO2 controlling what's this? The rate of the LFO2. This LFO2 still has effect on here. It's not modulating anything. It's just actually it is modulating the amplifier. If I take that off and take off that, it's clean right away. So I can bring back the LFO1 to controlling oscillator position bit. Messing with the release of the amp, and you can right away tell the difference. The notes were too long, it was boomy. Then I used these mods right here. It's like an effect into the oscillator. These mods, modern classic, and I worked a wave. Initially, this wave Afrobeat is like this, but I warped it just by a few to get this sound, and I layered that with an 808 bass. The 808 I wanted to use as a sub, the other bass is already quite low, so I'm going to put it an octave higher. Actually, it's better so give or take. You have to play around a bit with your sound design when it comes to the bass, and this is where I spend most of the time doing this breakdown. because this natural song is one that is driven by the drum and the bass and the vocal to make people dance. All the rest are there to support these two major elements, and they're there to fill in spaces and gaps here and there, such that people dance and stuff. Let's give it one more listen all the way through, and just before we end, I'll talk about compression a bit, if time allows. Let's listen one more time all the way through. Unfortunately, this video is already over 20 minutes, and I have no choice but to cut it short. I have to cut it short here, such that we get time to do another video. But if you enjoyed this, please subscribe and ring the notification button, share it, leave a comment, and see you soon. Soundhouse Records, John Mary is my name.